Okay, gang, let's take a look at the syllabus together. Drury expects that you review the syllabus and that you understand what's on it. I'm just going to walk through it with you so that you understand what's important to me, and I'm the instructor, so my preferences win. Here we go. Let's talk for a second about right here, my phone number. I actually have a full-time job at OTC as well, so I'm not always sitting at a desk with my Drury email or Blackboard open. However, I carry my phone with me everywhere I go, and I'm a habitual texter. So if you need something or if you have questions, please know it is okay to text me. However, you have to introduce yourself each time you send me a message because I won't save your phone numbers. So if you need something, just make sure to introduce yourself. Hey, Miss Porter, this is Chris from your CRIM class, and then I'll jump right in and know exactly what we're talking about and what you need. And I will usually respond to that as fast as I can. If I'm sitting in a meeting, it may take a few minutes. If I'm in my car, it may take a little bit, but I will always message you back. If it can wait, if it's something that you have time to, give me a few hours or even wait till the evening to respond, then shoot me an email. But if it's something that you're working on at the moment and you really could use a response, please, please, please don't hesitate to text me. The next section, the course description, will tell you a little bit about what this class covers. We'll kind of let you read through that on your own. What makes this class a little bit different than some of your other Drury classes is that we don't use a traditional textbook. We're going to take lots of resources from journal articles, from newspapers, from the FBI website. The one thing I do expect you to read this semester, though, is a nonfiction novel by Sister Helen Prejean. It's entitled Dead Man Walking, so you should have a copy of that. It is an older book, but it is still kind of a timeless depiction of what happens in death penalty cases. What you're going to do is read that throughout the course of the semester, and then we're going to have some journal discussions back and forth. We'll talk about that in just a second. There's brief biographical information about me. The short version is I'm a Drury alumni. I've worked in kind of the nonprofit crime prevention end of the spectrum most of my career and have just landed in higher education in the last few years. We'll skip through the learning outcomes. You can read through all of those. Let's talk for a second about the course schedule. Here's what you need to know. I reserve the right to extend any of these deadlines. I will never shorten the deadlines on you, but there may be times when something comes up. If a great number of you are high school football players, we may push some deadlines back a little bit. If everyone's holiday schedule doesn't match Drury's, we may very well extend some of the deadlines, but I will let you know that well in advance. Oh shoot, I skipped something. Let's go back to technology. It's an online class, so you really need to be able to have access to the internet on a regular basis. I understand that not everyone has it at home. There are far reaches of Taney County where people just can't get the internet, and I understand that. Some of you may be in very similar positions in the rural areas where you live. However, the most important thing for you to remember is you have to tell me, communicate with me if you have issues. If you know, hey, our power went out in a storm, shoot me a text message. If you have a family emergency and you're going to be away from school, away from computer access, you've got to let me know as soon as possible so that we can work together to overcome all of that. I'm not going to hold you responsible for technology failing wherever you are, but you do have to let me know so that I can work with you. All right, let's scroll on down to kind of the summary of assignments. It's pretty cut and dry. I mean, we have a few assignments this semester, but it's not tons. There are a few things that are a little repetitive. The discussion forums are super, super important, and here's why. In a seated classroom, we give you participation points for showing up and interacting with other students in the class, raising your hands, engaging in discussion with me. In an online class, you have to have some other means of showing up and participating. So that's what the discussion forums do. I expect you to also recognize that these are asynchronous, which just means you're not going to be in the website at the same time. It's not a chat room necessarily. You're going to have to throw something out there, wait a few hours or even a day or two for someone to respond back. It's still a conversation. You have to have more than one person involved, but it's going to take a little bit more time. and that takes time for people to get accustomed to. The writing assignments, I understand that most of you have spent a lot of time learning MLA style. I'm going to expect you to write in APA, and I have a short little activity that you'll get a few points for to kind of review what that looks like and what the differences are. And I've also included some resources to take you to a couple of different writing labs, online writing lab, and a citation machine that will help you generate those and make it a little bit easier for you. Your midterm project and your final exam are not typical pencil paper tests. It's something that you're going to have to do. May require a little bit of creativity, but I'm not interested in finding out how good you are at multiple choice. I'm interested in knowing that you have gained some kind of information and you're able to go back and apply it. So keep that in mind. There are a handful of quizzes, and then your journal entries are going to be pretty significant as well. These are all private. The only people that can read your journal entries are you and me. It's not open to the rest of the class. And I really encourage students to be as open and honest and brutal, if necessary, to kind of work through some of what we're reading in Dead Man Walking. It's a pretty intense book, so I want to give you guys a chance to discuss and throw out some things that you might not necessarily be comfortable doing in a group. So there's that. Let's scroll on down to announcements. I will post an announcement typically every Monday morning, and usually once towards the end of the week as well. Listen, don't judge me. Sometimes I record your announcements at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night in my jammies. Sometimes I record your announcements first thing in the morning and there are obnoxious children running around in the background. It is what it is, but I will always have an announcement for you covering what's coming up in the week, talking about some of the things maybe that we accomplished the prior week, and answering any questions that have applied to all of you. The class interaction and participation, like I mentioned before, the discussion forums are going to be super important. You have me available to you at any point in time by email, Facebook, Skype, text, whatever. I've also included in the discussion forum section of the Blackboard website a folder that says Ask the Class. You may have a question that other students might be able to answer faster than I can, or maybe from a different point of view than I can. Feel free to post something there. It's not going to be graded. And also feel free to check it and kind of toss things around. Sometimes you're your peer's best expert. Discussion forum expectations. Let's talk about that for just a second. Most of your discussion forums are going to show up, and it says Tuesday night by 11:59. I think a lot of them, just because of the way the fall schedule hits the calendar, most of your initial posts are going to be due on Wednesday night. So you get a little bit of wiggle room in there. You also have to have any comments to your classmates finished by Friday night. I will not stay up till midnight to grade this. Those deadlines are to ensure that when I get up in the morning to grade and to respond, that everything is in there. So it doesn't really matter when you do it on Wednesdays and Fridays, as long as you get it done before the end of the day. Your discussion forums, you need to have one response to the question that I give you, and a lot of your discussion forums will require that you have 2 to 3 reply comments. So make sure you read the instructions and respond to the appropriate number of students that are listed. Also, let's talk about this one real quick. Discussion board activities should be ongoing throughout the week. You're expected to post no less than 2 different days of the week. Going back to what we just talked about with discussion forums being the only way to prove participation, you have to check in a couple of times throughout the week. Have any of you ever been in a conversation or in a classroom with that one kid that spits out a question, then in the same breath answers it, like just gives this giant speech about whatever, and never gives anyone else the opportunity to respond? That drives me bonkers. I'm married to that kid, for that matter. That's a whole other conversation. The discussion forums are set up so that that doesn't happen. Throw out your response, wait for people to answer you, and then engage with them. you may have to give some space between the times that you logged on and then go back and see what other people had to say. It is a discussion. It's just one that takes several days to unfold. So you will not get your full point value if you verbally throw some stuff out there and respond all in the same day. You can't have a meaningful conversation in a span of about 20 seconds. So keep that in mind. To get your full point value, you have to be logged in at least 2 days a week. All right, there are a few different personalized lectures throughout the semester. Typically, I will either use a presentation or I just give you text with some hyperlinks in it so that you can go and explore some of those topics on your own. I give you notes as often as possible. So if there is a video or if there is a presentation, you're going to have a transcript that goes with it. So feel free to print that out, make your own notes, whatever you need to. Listen, I grew up in the boot heel of Southeast Missouri. I understand that my voice is difficult to listen to for extended periods of time. I get that. I will always provide you notes so that you can kind of go back and double check everything without having to watch those videos over and over again. We talked a few minutes ago about all of your assignments being due at midnight on the designated day. Do whatever you have to do to get it done. It just needs to be in my possession on Blackboard before midnight on the day that it's due. Let's talk about instructor feedback. Drury expects feedback from me to you in less than a week. My personal goal is to have it back to you in less than 48 hours. I am also a student. I'm enrolled in a doctoral program, and our cohort meets on Wednesday nights. So it may take a day or so for me to get things back to you if it's due on a Wednesday night. But other than that, I will do my best to rock it out and get it back to you so that you have it to study with later, and then you have it to kind of learn from before your next assignment is due. This section talks about the Ask the Class discussion forum that we just covered, so make sure you read through that. We're wrapping this up. Late work. You can turn your work in late, but understand that unless there's a good reason for it, it's going to have a 10% penalty for every day that it's late. If you get to, and you can do the math, if you get more than 5 days past the due date, less 10% every day, you're going to be down to nothing. Even a perfect paper will be worth almost nothing. So I typically give you a period in the first half of the semester and the last half of the semester to get things in. And then after that, I can't accept them anymore, and you'll have to get a 0 for that assignment. So please stay on top of your due dates. Netiquette. This is funny. Even though we're in an online forum, please speak in complete sentences and use appropriate spelling and grammar. I wrote in here no text speak or chat acronyms. The one exception to that, I will accept OMG. Only because I use it all the time. So there's your one freebie. If you need to use text speak, that's the one I'll take and not hold against you. Also, for this class specifically, we will end up covering topics and information and reading things that can be very controversial and can elicit some emotional responses from folks. So I just ask that you treat everybody with respect and dignity, and be careful how you formulate your responses so that your language is appropriate and that nothing is threatening for any of your classmates. Thus is the nature of studying criminology. All right, we're not going to have incomplete grades. You're all going to knock this out this semester, so we're going to not discuss that and hope that it doesn't become an issue. Academic honesty, last little piece. My expectation is that your work is yours, all of it. No borrowed papers, no borrowed quotes. If anything that you use in any of your assignments is actually the work of someone else or needs to be credited to someone else, I'm going to show you how to do that appropriately. And my expectation is that it's done appropriately. 0 tolerance for any kind of plagiarism, cheating, any of that. So I think that's all of it. If you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to give me a call. Email me, text me, whatever, and I'll get right back with you. I'm looking forward to this semester. We'll see you later.